There's something about Utah's wild places that just pulls you in, making you want to explore each hidden corner and witness every breathtaking view. Out here, the land demands respect. It's a place where nature is in charge, and where we're reminded of our place within it. It forces you to slow down and enjoy the feeling you get when you're out here, surrounded by the beauty and power of the natural world. This is going to be an amazing experience, an adventure, and it's one that will create lasting memories. This is Destination Journey. Our week in Utah begins at Valley of the Gods, where dramatic rock formations like buttes, monoliths, and pinnacles rise from the land. These towering giants have held deep spiritual significance to Native American tribes for thousands of years. In 2016, it was designated a national monument, ensuring its beauty and history continue to captivate for generations. Earlier that morning, we started out from southwestern Colorado, a place where time seems to slow and the journey becomes part of the adventure. Soon, we found ourselves crossing into Arizona, where the views just kept getting better. We headed straight into the heart of Monument Valley. The drive on those dirt roads took us up close to some of the most recognizable rock formations as we were beginning to enter into the land of giants. From there, we entered into Utah on Highway 163 and passed over the famous Forrest Gump Hill, where the open road feels endless. A quick stop at the iconic Mexican Hat, and we couldn't resist soaking in the views of the Colorado River at Gooseneck State Park. As the sun was starting to set, we entered into Valley of the Gods, where we set up camp and enjoyed a delicious dinner under a sky full of stars. It was great the next morning waking up to the sun just starting to peek over the giant rock formations. We took our time making some coffee and soaking in the view before packing up. With plans to reach somewhere outside of Moab, we were ready for what the day had in store. As we make our way up the Maki Dugway switchbacks, the Valley of the Gods really starts to open up beneath us. With each turn, we get a better view of those massive rock formations and the wide open desert stretching for miles. It's one of those views that you can't help but be amazed by. Once we reach the top, we move on to a quick highway section that brings us to Snowflat Road. As we work our way down the trail, we are surrounded by sagebrush and junipers, common at the lower elevations of this arid landscape. The road is a mixture of rough, rocky sections and smooth sand, providing a gentle introduction to Utah's wild backcountry as we set our sights on Moab. Arriving in Moab just before noon, we are eager to hit some nearby trails. We navigate a winding road that twists through a stunning canyon and a set of switchbacks leading to Hurrah Pass. After a few miles of amazing trail, we are about to cross over the section that gives this pass its name. Known historically as the Notch, this route was a challenging climb for cattlemen moving herds from the Colorado River to King Creek. The moment the last cow passed through, the cowboys would let out a loud hurrah. As we crest the pass, the vast expanse of the landscapes reveals the Colorado River and rugged rock formations that lie ahead. Continuing on, we reached a fork in the road. To the left was Lockhart Basin, a tough trail we weren't ready to tackle alone. Instead, we headed toward Chicken Corners, a trail that's famous for its amazing views and some pretty tight shelf roads. The name Chicken Corners comes from a narrow section that brings you up close to the edge of a steep drop down to the Colorado River below. As we reach the far end of this out and back trail, the scenery is nothing short of spectacular, making it the perfect spot to pause and take it all in. As we start to head back, we cross over the famous section of trail for the second time. The narrow section of Chicken Corners truly tests your nerves. As we navigate this tight stretch, the drop-off is right out my driver's side window, demanding full concentration. Every stretch of this trail is a thrilling reminder of the raw beauty and challenge that is starting to define our journey through Utah. As the day winds down, we find a cliffside campsite overlooking the Colorado River and Canyonlands National Park beyond, an ideal spot to settle in and enjoy some dinner. My main focus leading up to a big trip is making sure the 4Runner is ready for what's ahead. So it's great to know Tim is hard at work, prepping some amazing looking steak and pork for our adventure. He's a true perfectionist, making sure everything is just right. I stopped by a few days before we hit the road, just in time to test out some of the freshly pulled pork.
I'm ready to go. What are you gonna eat?
After a long day on the trail, I'm really looking forward to what Tim is cooking up.
Just having a little steak tonight. Got some cowboy, some cowboy ribeye. Don't eat it all in one bite.
Oh my god.
And there's some room for your veggies on
And
this
you thought we needed 2 of them.
Well, hey.
Yeah, explain the sous vide method.
Yeah, we used the jet boil to hold the temp. These are big guys, so we did them for 3 hours. Normally I only do 2.
Backcountry sous vide.
Yep, backcountry sous vide. And take it out of the bag here. So steak's never in the water, right? It's just in the bag, and that gives constant heat the whole time. We just sear them off in the cast iron. And we're good to go.
After an amazing dinner and a great night camping, we're packing up the 4Runner and heading into Moab to take a day off from the trail. Our first stop in town has to be my favorite breakfast spot, Jailhouse Cafe. Next, a little laundry and a much needed wash for the rig. Before we head out and have some fun for the day, we stop to fill our water bottles at Matrimony Spring, as so many people have done for well over a century. Our main attraction for the day, stopping at Arches National Park to hike up to the iconic Delicate Arch. I always stop and make this hike every time I pass through Moab. Well, we made the most of our day in Moab yesterday. We just got up, got some breakfast. We're going to be heading out to kind of the LaSalle Mountain area for most of the day, and then hopefully make it over to Onion Creek area and find camp tonight. As we started climbing into the LaSalle Mountains, the air cooled as we gained in elevation. Soon we were driving through areas scarred by past forest fires. Further ahead, the snow on the road caught us off guard, considering how hot it had been in Moab just a few miles back. A week earlier, and this trail wouldn't have been passable. The snow forced us right to the edge of the trail, but we managed to continue on without trouble. Descending into a new landscape, we once again found ourselves surrounded by sagebrush and junipers, leaving the tall pines of higher elevations behind. The trail alternated between rocky sections and stretches of sand. Eventually, the scenery opened up, revealing amazing views all around us. After another steep and rewarding climb, our trail led us into the direction of Onion Creek, a highlight of our trip. The creek winds through Red Rock Canyons as the trail crosses it again and again. Each shallow water crossing gave us a closer look at the canyon's unique features. The smell of sulfur in the air was unmistakable, a sign of the mineral-rich springs nearby. Camping isn't allowed here due to flash flood risks, but the beauty of Onion Creek makes the journey worth every moment. As the afternoon rolled on, it was time to look for a nice campsite for the evening. Our map showed some dispersed camping just north of Onion Creek Trail off Highway 128. As we arrived at a great spot for the night, we noticed there was a large river crossing just ahead. This river was far beyond depth that I would consider safe, but we arrived just in time to witness a group of 5 vehicles attempting to cross. As we rolled up, we had just missed the first vehicle make the crossing safely. The first truck we witnessed cross the river navigated the high water without any issue. But as you soon will see, things quickly took a turn for the worse. After the first vehicle was safely across, they decided to send 2 vehicles at once. This is where things start to take a turn. After pulling the Toyota across and letting it drain and sit for about 30 minutes, I was shocked to see that this thing started right up. It was now time for the Tacoma to give it another try. This ends in disaster.
Clear. Stop!
From what I could tell, the issue was the driver taking the wrong line and no one on the radio telling the Land Rover to stop pulling. With so many people in the group, they were able to lift and push the vehicle back onto the exit and winch it to safety. With all 5 vehicles now safely across, the group decided to camp next to us for the night. They had some major work ahead of them on the Tacoma to get it safely out of the canyon. In the end, everyone made it out safely, and I'm sure valuable lessons were learned. With the excitement over for the day, we decided it was time to head back to our own camp and settle in for a relaxing evening. The next morning, we hit the road early, leaving our campsite behind as we headed into northern Utah's Uinta National Forest. It was mid-June, and we knew there was a good chance we'd encounter snow as we headed into a higher elevation. A sharp contrast to the dry heat of southern and central Utah. As we began our ascent through aspen and evergreen forest, snow started to blanket sections of the road. We managed to push through for a few miles, but the drifts grew deeper and more frequent. Running solo, we realized it wasn't worth the risk of getting stuck, so we made the smart decision to turn back and find an alternate route. After some searching, we found a promising track that led us down toward a main road, allowing us to bypass the snow without having to backtrack for hours. As we descended, the snow began to fade, and before long, we were back on the main road, heading north once again. Our goal for the night was Bald Mountain Pass. Driving down the highway, we were concerned to see smoke rising from the hillside, but soon realized it was just Forest Service crews conducting controlled burns, so we pressed on. Eventually, we turned onto a rough gravel trail that would take us back up into higher elevations. As we climbed, we ran into more snow, but it wasn't nearly as challenging as what we had faced earlier. The trail was rocky, but the landscape was breathtaking. Alpine lakes, wet meadows, and creeks framed the road, making the journey well worth the effort. Finally, we found the perfect campsite. It overlooked a wet meadow with bald mountain peaks rising from the evergreen forest. A fitting end to a day full of challenges.
All right, Chad, what are we having for dinner tonight?
So the main course, we're having picanha. This is something Tim introduced me to. It's a nice fatty steak, really good. I'm mixing up some coleslaw right now. And then we're gonna do corn on the cob. We have a feast. This is our last night, and we had a hell of a day, trucking through snow, backtracking. So we're gonna eat well tonight, and then start heading home in the morning.
As the sun sets on our Utah adventure, we reflect on the diverse landscapes we've journeyed through, from expansive views to thrilling rugged terrains. This trip offered a welcome break from the busy pace of life. Each change in scenery presented its own set of challenges and deepened our appreciation for the land. Until next time, this is Destination Journey.